Welcome to Linux Overdose, Episode 7, Part 5, Debian 8.4 Jesse Gnome. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about setting the BIOS to boot from the DVD. And of course, it can boot from a flash drive too. It goes the same place to make your changes. So if you're going to do the DVD or USB, this is still good information to know, because when you buy your computer and say you want to put a different operating system or want to at least boot off a bootable device, you usually can't do it unless you change the boot sequence in BIOS, because by default it's the main integrated hard drive that's going to be booting first, and so that's what's going to do, and then it will never reach to the device you're trying to boot off of. So it's very handy to know how to get the BIOS and know where to go to change the settings. Now everybody's BIOS is different, so but even looking differently, it's the same basic stuff that you can change in your BIOS. So what I did, how I record it, was I used this device, and it recorded very well. And I got me a new mic, and I tried the mic, and audio doesn't work in BIOS, which is fine. I still got the video, which is a very big plus. So what we're going to do is watch the video, and then I'm just going to walk you through some stuff here. So we'll go ahead and start it, and I'll pause it. Let's go back to the beginning. When I go in BIOS, this is the first screen that I'll go to. It's the startup guide, and to the left is the smart tweaks, which is handy to go to do overclocking. And to the right is the classic mode, which is the normal updated BIOS that everyone's used to. So this startup guide is just the things you mainly change in your BIOS, which is mainly boot sequence. So you can change the boot sequence in here, and I don't have to go anywhere else. And disable fast boot, which was disabled by default anyway. Disable your SATAs, but here you disable all of them. In classic mode, you can disable them separately, which I found out earlier. So play the video here, and this is the classic mode, and of course it's gigabyte, a motherboard, UEFI dual BIOS. So that's what BIOS I have. Play the video here, and like I said, this is the startup guide. And there's the boot sequence, and I pause it here again. Now it's only showing what's bootable, that's plugged in the system right now, which is the DVD ROM drive and the two internal hard drives. If I had a USB plug-in right now, it would show up right now here. I don't know if it'll show up behind or begin, but it will show up here. And to change them, you just left click and just drag to which order you want these in. So that's how you do this. And I got set up for DVD. And remember, default, it was the hard drive. So you have to change it to get things bootable. So and two hard drives, one with Voyager on it, another one that's not even formatted, there's nothing on it. and I'll be installing Debian 8.4 Jesse Gnome onto the other hard drive. So, of course, I'm getting ahead of me going through the BIOS, which I kind of like the lava effect on the rides. I thought it was pretty cool. And then right here, enable, disable, but all of them. There's no separate setting here, but in classic mode there is. And now going to the smart tweaks, and I'll pause this here. And only two things I changed here was CPU temperature warning and system warning. This was a disable. I enable it, and it's going to warn me if it reached 60 Celsius. Right now, my temperature runs, I've seen as high as 32 Celsius, so I'm not even close to this. And I might end up enabling this, the warning. I don't know why everything's disabled, but you should disable. You should enable some of these, and I'm going to enable this one also. So. And this is where you do your tweaking, your voltages for your CPU and for your memory if you like to overclock, and I don't. So I use manufacturer default settings. If I want to go faster, I just buy faster hardware. And I believe this system, not all systems are overclocked. This one you can. And the reason I don't overclock is, well, I think the life of your hardware, you're making it last not as long. You can do some damage, and you also have an unstable system. So I just don't overclock. And right here is the startup guide, which is this. And if I press F8, this is where I go. But I also can change it where it automatically goes to classic mode or smart tweak, either high definition or just 1024 to the left. And this was default, and I'm going to leave it as default. And this is classic mode. And I'm just going to randomly click on things, kind of just walk through it, and you really don't have to know everything here. And never change nothing unless you know what you're doing. If you know what each item is going to do to your system. Of course, the manual will help you, and Googling will help you. But never change nothing if you don't understand it at all. And I guess BIOS can be scary, but it's not. You can walk through this and then exit without saving. So if you accidentally hit something and change it, you don't have to worry about that. It's going to change if you exit without saving. And then here's my, I'll go ahead and pause this. Here's the temperatures of my CPU and my system. So you see the temperature pretty low and away from that warning temperature of 60 Celsius. So, and it's pretty decent that you can use a cursor in your BIOS. Usually it's always key. And you still can do the key. And right here's all the key operations, and there's other key operations. So, but I just use the cursor. It's easier to follow while you're doing this. And I'll be pausing it here after I scroll down a little. Well, right here's your boot sequence. You can do that here too. So, and things only going, and then like I said, that's disabled. I ain't gonna pause till the next one. So like I said, just clicking a few things. And that's what you do when you're in BIOS. You just click everything, see what all the default settings, go to your manual, try to understand what each setting does, or Google it. It's not necessary to know everything, but it does help to know a few things here. Then there's your SATA configurations, and this is where you can disable and enable ports, which is pretty decent. And I'll pause right here. And my 2 internal hard drives, which is Kingston 120 gigabyte. It only shows after you partition it and stuff. It only shows 111 gigabytes. So one is in port 2, one's port 3. Both are enabled. And one of these is my Voyager, my installment. Another one, it's blank. It's not even formatted. Now, I can guess and say this is the one with the operating system, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and disable this one, reboot, and it should say OS undetectable, or no OS is detected, and that means I disable the right one. If I boot back in Voyager, I disable the wrong one, and I just go back to BIOS, and it would help if I had 2 different brand or different size of hard drives. If I knew which one I installed the operating system, then it won't be too confusing which is which. But it's it's handy to have something like this where I don't have to open up my system and physically unplug one of the hard drives. And it's not necessary, but anytime I mess with partitions or install an operating system, I just want to concentrate on just one hard drive. And if you ain't paying attention, you could be doing the wrong hard drive. And to avoid that is just disable or unplug from your motherboard, and that way you only have one that your partition software or your operating system that you're booting up only detects one hard drive. So that's just my precaution. I know what I'm doing if I had everything enabled. I know which one to pick and all that, but when you install, Grub can accidentally get installed on a different hard drive because it detects a different hard drive, and so that's another avoid. I want Grub on when I install operating system. I want it think it's the only operating system on the system, and to do that is disable or unplug all the other bootable devices. But this is handy where I don't have to do it physically. I can do it in BIOS. So I'll be doing that when I install Debian, and I'll probably videotape it from my video camera, so the audio and everything ain't gonna be perfect, and I probably won't go through the whole installation because it's the same installation like we did on the virtual box, so don't have to go through the whole thing, I wouldn't think. I'm sure you don't want to watch it either, so but I'll do a little bit, and then you can do the F10 save and exit. I'm going to hit the EXC, or I guess I can do the right click quick without saving. I didn't make no changes, so, and then it'll boot up into my system. So that's the end of the video. So that's your BIOS. So the next is installing Debian 8.4 on SSD. So like I said, I'll be going to BIOS to disable um, the one with the operating system, which is this one, and install Debian 8.4, and I'll videotape part of the procedures I'm doing. I won't videotape the whole installment, at least I don't think I'm going to, because it's a repeat from the virtual box. So we'll get to that one, which will be part 6, and it'll probably be short if I don't walk you through the whole installation. So I'll go ahead and end this, and I'll see you next time.